All right, so there are some amazing conspiracies that are going on with Sandy Hook. And next week we will do a whole show on debunking these conspiracies. And it is imperative that that you know the difference between fact and fiction. And I want to make it very, very clear. Here's where I stand on the Sandy Hook shooting conspiracies. Stu, give me one of the off the top of your head, what are the conspiracies?
Well, one of the big conspiracies, approximately over 5.5 million views on YouTube, basically a movie about how the shootings did not occur. Did not occur.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What?
So what happened? Didn't happen.
What happened? Nothing?
Setups to get more gun control.
No. So what? The media made up
the person that I went to church with, who lost their niece
in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
Not according to YouTube.
We know those people. That didn't happen.
Well, then
we don't know them.
You're part of it. No, you're just part of it.
Okay.
You're covering up for them.
All right.
I will tell you that is exactly what these conspiracy theorists will say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's just one of them. To show you the scope of it, they'll claim that none of it even happened, and this is growing. And it is growing because we don't trust the government. Let me show you where the truth is. The truth is here. Our society is sick. Our culture is sick. The reason why there weren't shootings when there were far more guns per capita. In the 1800s, everybody had a gun. You had to have a gun. Why weren't there shootings? Why didn't people shoot each other? Because man's love for man hadn't waxed cold yet. There were murders. There were problems. But kids didn't shoot and didn't use the guns to shoot each other because you knew the power of the gun. You knew that was something to help defend. It wasn't a toy, and you were taught this from the very beginning. And our society had underpinnings to it. We had self-regulation. Whether you were Thomas Paine and you didn't believe in God, but you had self-governance. You were self-regulated. Or if you were a deeply religious person. That's why we could have all these guns. Our society is sick. Our families are sick. They're under attack. The family unit is being destroyed. God, country, family, all of them are under attack. I was walking through Disney World a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, what built this? What built this thing? God, country, family. Those were his principles. That's what he was trying to show. God, country, family. Every single one of those things are now under attack, and some of them by the Disney Corporation. God, country, family, you can't say those things. Those are unpopular. Those are politically incorrect. Or those are a danger. So why is this happening? Because we refuse to recognize God, country, family. We refuse to spend our time on those three things. We refuse to say, what is my relationship to my family? What is the importance of the family? What is the importance of my relationship with God? What is my relationship and my duty, my responsibility to my country? I say, what is my country doing for me instead of what can I do for my country? I mean, that was a Democrat that said that. That's why it's falling apart. And as our society falls apart, and as we are sucked into the wormhole of new media, and as the old media discredits itself over and over and over again, and without someone standing like Gandalf, you shall not pass. Without somebody standing there and saying, you will not go further here. That dragon will not come any further. Our media organizations don't even know why they do anything anymore. Everything is relative. And so there's nobody standing there in the path of the dragons that will consume us. There is no understanding what truth is, because there is no truth. Because without God, nature's law, there is no truth. Truth is all relative. Rights are all relative. There is no such thing as an inalienable right. Something that you were born with, you have a right. I have a right to defend myself. I have a right to defend myself. And how do I know it? Because it happens in nature. Go try. You know what? I tell you what. Bears are so lovable. Go up to a mama bear and say, I just want to cuddle your little baby bear. She'll rip your head off. You go up to a friendly dog after she's given birth, and you see how friendly she is with you when you go try to reach for her puppy. It happens in nature. You have a right to defend yourself because God gave you that. But there is no inalienable right anymore. God didn't give you anything. You're just flawed. And you have to progress past those flaws. And we're going to protect you. Wait a minute. God did not give you an inalienable right to protect me, because that doesn't happen in nature. Some savior doesn't come out of the woods. Some deer doesn't come out to protect all the lions. Now, they may set up their system, but each one plays a role. They don't call, the deers don't call the lions and say, oh, we're surrounded by hyenas. Help us. All right, Mr. Deer, hold on. We'll be there in about 2.5 minutes. Don't do anything. That's nature's God, nature's laws. And we have so unpegged from that. And so people are searching for anything. Do you ever wonder how people could believe some of the stuff that you read about now? How did people actually believe in dragons? How do people believe in wizards and magic like that? How do people believe this stuff? How did we actually believe 300 or 400 years ago in witches? How did we believe that they could conjure spells? Because no one was pegged to the truth. Anything was possible because everything was possible. There was no universal truth, no natural law, no God's law. And the only time that you ever burned witches is when God's law was turned upside down on its head. Do you know what Putin is doing right now? The Soviet Union, one of my guys this morning was talking to me about Russia. He really follows Russia, and he's spooked by Russia, and you should be. He was telling me, he said, you know what Russia's doing right now is Russia is really centering themselves on their churches. And he's saying right now, Putin is saying, you know what, come on. We're really a faith-going people. You got to get back into your church. Excuse me? Putin? The Soviet Union? Churches? Yep. You know why? Nationalism. He's saying that's the essence of who you are. Who we are as a Russian people. Go back to your roots as Russian people. Get back into your churches. When you have a nationalist leader like Putin telling people to go back into their nationalist churches, you have trouble on the horizon. Because he's doing it for a reason. He's not a guy who believes. He's saying go back to your roots on who you are. He's not saying go rediscover the truth of God. And that's what we have to do. And because we don't look for universal truth, I don't care what church you go to. I don't care. And it doesn't have to be an American church. Go find the truth and then guard it. Because there are a lot of people coming out now who will tell you the truth. Because you don't believe in anything. You don't know who to trust anymore. I stood in the Oval Office last night here on the set, and we have the oval carpet, and it has the big presidential seal in there. And I was looking down, I was talking to Dave, and I was looking down at my feet, and I was looking down at that seal. We were off air, and I said, boy, it's amazing how an image of something that used to mean so much can now mean something entirely different to an individual. And he said, that's a sign of real trouble. I said, it is. It is. Who do you trust? Here's what happened at Sandy Hook. A madman, because he's unstable by birth, I don't know, maybe. Because he's on mind-altering medications, I don't know, maybe. Because of the combination of the two, I don't know, maybe. Because he was playing these games all the time and he had found himself more and more isolated, I don't know, maybe. He goes and he steals his parents' guns. I can tell you this, the guns didn't make him do it. The guns were a tool. That's all it is. That's like if I go kill everybody with a screwdriver and everybody's saying, we should ban screwdrivers. Are you out of your mind? Screwdrivers can be good. Screwdrivers help us build things. Screwdrivers have helped a lot of things. Guns have saved a lot of people. They're not inherently evil. It's what you decide to do with them. Now, what made him pick up that gun and go steal those guns? I don't know. I know he's responsible. But what helped play a role? I don't know. What made him think that that's sane? I don't know. Maybe just because he's insane. I don't know. But I can tell you this. It wasn't the gun, and it wasn't the government. The government didn't set this kid up. The government didn't coax this kid. The government didn't hire a bunch of actors to go into a school and pretend they had gotten shot. The funerals were real. They happened. We went to the moon. Jihadists brought the World Trade Centers down. Bush did not blow up the levees. Those weren't actors. Those were real funerals. Those were real people. Now, here's where the little bit of truth comes in, where conspiracy theorists, and most likely you, can agree. And if I'm Satan, this is how I do it every single time. I just take a little bit of truth and go, well, that's right. I know that's right. I know. But let me ask you this. Is it at least possible? You really know what happened on 9/11? And I start taking just little bits of facts, and I start mixing them with out-and-out lies, provable lies. But then I tell you, yeah, but can you really trust that news organization to tell you the truth? I know they say that's wrong, but can you trust them? And now you find yourself in the exact situation that kid was in. Isolated, alone, not knowing who to trust. Everybody is against you. And you just want to feel something again. Something real again. That's what happened. And as a society, we are being led right down that rabbit hole. And we're being led down that rabbit hole by people who are telling you right now, and not in the government, you can trust me. I'm your friend, and I'm the friend of the Constitution. I'm for freedom. Remember, Julian Assange is for freedom, too. Occupy Wall Street is for freedom, too. They're for the little guy, I don't care if they're in the Tea Party. I don't care if they're in Occupy Wall Street. I don't care who they are. If they are telling you that this was a government setup, that somehow or another the government isn't using this, created this situation, you run from them. No ifs, ands, or buts. You make a promise to yourself right now. Do not consume any of the poison. Don't say, well, yeah, I know, but that's crazy. But this other stuff, do not consume the poison. Because that's exactly what it is. Here's what the government did do. exploited it. The government is great at not wasting an emergency. First of all, how competent would they have to be to pull something off like this? They're not that competent, guys. They can't stop paying $800 for toilet seats. They're not this good. This didn't happen that way. Where the conspiracy, if you want to call it that, started is after the event. They went into full-fledged. They knew this was going to happen. Eric Holder said before he even took office, what we need are some events. And when those events happen, we need to be able to convince the American people that they're wrong about guns. They knew that all they're doing is waiting. They're waiting for the right event. Have you not done that in your own business? Just prepare it when the time comes. Have you not done that do you not see that in Perry Mason and every single Law and Order episode? He's going to say this. He's going to say, wait for the right time. That's all they did. Wait for the right time. Now, is that a conspiracy or is that the way dirtbags work? Wait. They waited and they exploited. It's not a conspiracy. It is a danger to the Republic. And I fear we are going to be so fragmented. One of my earlier predictions that I made to my staff, and I never made it on the air, and I'll make it now. And it's not a prediction. I just know it to be true. If I am right about the other things, in the end, I have as much to fear from the right as I do the left. Because no one will trust each other. No one will trust each other. And those who are past the Articles of Confederation, who believe in these kinds of things, will say he's all part of it, he helped to orchestrate it, and so will those on the left. And you will be there too if you stand for something true. Understand that just like every people that stood for real truth, you will be totally alone in the end. May God give us all strength to remain standing and to remain true, because this is only temporary.